In this podcast episode, AJ Gentile delves into a wide-ranging conversation exploring mysteries from ancient giants and enigmatic pyramids to the secretive realms of government-sponsored psychic espionage. The discussion covers unexplained archaeological phenomena, suppressed technologies, and a reevaluation of human history that challenges conventional academic narratives. The conversation begins with an examination of claims surrounding giants, particularly those referenced in biblical texts like Genesis 6, describing Nephilim, giant hybrid beings said to have existed in antiquity. AJ discusses widespread folklore, including Native American legends of battles with giants and archaeological sites like Lovelock Cave, where red hair strands, giant sandals, and enormous clothing have been found. Despite some documentary evidence that organizations such as the Smithsonian may have handled gigantic bones and artifacts, there remains systematic denying or disappearance of such materials. The discussion highlights the long-standing tension between alternative archaeology and mainstream institutions, with the latter often dismissing or suppressing inquiries into these mysteries due to human frailties like pride, financial incentives, and institutional inertia. AJ challenges many accepted understandings of Egyptian pyramids, pointing out that essential questions remain unanswered. Crucially, no mummies have ever been found inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, and dating these structures remains highly uncertain due to the lack of organic material suitable for carbon dating. He notes that earlier pyramids appear more perfectly constructed than later ones, suggesting Egyptians may have discovered pre-existing structures and tried unsuccessfully to replicate them. The construction methods themselves defy explanation through traditional means, such as ramps or bronze tools, considering the immense precision and the hardness of used materials like rose granite. There is speculation about the pyramid's function beyond tombs, involving unique materials with piezoelectric properties and chemical residues, possibly creating hydrogen gas to generate energy. The integration of acoustic phenomena and waveguides inside the Great Pyramid further hint at unknown advanced engineering concepts. Moreover, important archaeological sites, such as the Labyrinth of Hara, remain unexplored due to governmental restrictions, despite technological evidence of vast underground complexes in danger of destruction from water erosion. Throughout the episode, AJ illustrates how various governments, especially the United States and Egypt, actively obscure or inhibit exploration into these ancient mysteries. Examples include suppression of discoveries, banning researchers from conducting excavations, and controlling access to artifacts stored in institutions like the Smithsonian. Political motivations, a desire to maintain national narratives, and possibly deeper unknown reasons contribute to widespread censorship. The intertwining of egos, financial interests, and preservation concerns frequently halts scientific curiosity, leaving many archaeological wonders unexplained. AJ and the host explore the idea that humanity's understanding of its past is fundamentally flawed. Sites such as Göbekli Tepe and Çalhanoy in Turkey challenge the notion that early humans were merely primitive hunter-gatherers around 13,000 years ago. These structures exhibit remarkable sophistication with precise astronomical alignments, complex architecture, and artistic expressions inconsistent with the accepted timeline of technological development. Similarly, the Americas show earthworks and sewer systems constructed by unknown peoples whose identities remain a mystery. They also discuss puzzling coincidences in sacred imagery, like the widespread Birdman figure found across different continents, indicating possible shared spiritual or extraterrestrial connections that defy easy explanation. A large portion of the discussion centers on claims about advanced technologies that have been either forgotten or deliberately suppressed. AJ recounts numerous stories of inventors who supposedly created ultra-efficient engines or devices capable of producing free or near zero-point energy. Examples include Charles Pogue's highly efficient carburetor from the 1930s, Tom Ogle's modified engines from the 1970s, and Stanley Meyer's water-fueled car in the 1990s. In all cases, these inventors encountered obstruction, sabotage, or untimely deaths, suggesting a pattern of suppression by powerful interests fearful of losing control over energy markets. The conversation touches on Stanley Meyer's patented toroid ring and the potential military applications of concealed technologies, hinting at a connection to unidentified flying objects, UFOs. Nikola Tesla's life and work receive particular focus as a tragic example of brilliance suppressed. Tesla's vision of free energy transmitted through the air conflicted with powerful financial backers who withdrew support once they realized energy could not be metered. After his death in 1943, Tesla's research was confiscated by government authorities and taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where MIT professor John Trump, uncle of President Trump, was tasked with reviewing the materials, including research on directed energy weapons, DEWs. The whereabouts of much of this research remain unknown, fueling speculation about the existence of secret technologies and their potential military use. AJ explains the history and state of remote viewing, a controversial psychic espionage program developed by U.S. intelligence agencies during the Cold War. Initially studied at Stanford Research Institute, figures like Ingo Swann and Pat Price demonstrated apparent abilities to perceive distant and hidden locations with remarkable accuracy. The program, eventually known publicly as Project Stargate, was utilized for military and intelligence purposes, including locating downed aircraft and spying on Soviet installations. The discussion highlights successes, challenges, and mysterious deaths of key figures associated with remote viewing, such as Pat Price. Remote viewing extended beyond terrestrial espionage to claims of perceiving alien bases on the Moon and extraterrestrial presence on Mars, thus linking psychic phenomena with UFO lore and covert government operations. The conversation briefly touches on UFOs in relation to government secrecy, mentioning videos like the Tic Tac encounters that suggest advanced propulsion technologies possibly derived from suppressed inventions. The moon landings are discussed skeptically, acknowledging missing original footage and inconsistent data. AJ suggests astronauts, including Edgar Mitchell, acknowledged extraterrestrial realities, and while official NASA reports deny sightings, veterans of the space program have sometimes spoken of unexplained phenomena. The question of whether humans actually went to the moon remains complicated by incomplete records, government deception, and conflicting testimonies. AJ and the host emphasize that history is not necessarily a linear, steadily progressive story as traditionally taught. They argue that civilizations rose and fell, ancient knowledge was lost, and our ancestors may have been far more advanced than contemporary narratives admit. The episode discusses how archaeology and history often dismiss inconvenient findings as allegory or myth, preserving a sanitized version of human development. They also explore the role religion and ancient texts play in preserving fragments of truth hidden in allegory, such as flood stories, angelic beings resembling birdmen, and accounts like those in the Epic of Gilgamesh, paralleling biblical narratives. These common threads across various ancient cultures suggest a shared human experience deeply intertwined with events that are often relegated to legend. Toward the end, AJ reflects on the personal cost of studying these mysteries and government deception. Raised in a patriotic environment, his research led him to become increasingly disillusioned with official narratives about wars and political motives. He expresses frustration with institutional efforts to hide inconvenient truths and encourages critical thinking, urging listeners to question what they are told, regardless of source. Despite the challenges and disappointments, AJ advocates for intellectual curiosity and skepticism as tools to navigate complex realities. Ancient sites like Stonehenge, Petra, and various underwater ruins defy satisfactory explanation regarding construction, materials, and the technologies used. Legends about acoustic levitation, precise stone cutting, and energy generation challenge the limits of what is possible with known Bronze Age technologies. The episode discusses how ancient builders might have used advanced or lost forms of knowledge, ranging from sound-based levitation to piezoelectric materials, to achieve feats that remain a mystery even today. Plato's account of Atlantis is considered both a possible metaphor and a lost advanced civilization. The story ends abruptly in his writings, leaving much open to interpretation. AJ discusses geological formations such as the Eye of the Sahara and submerged sites like Bimini Road in the Bahamas and the Yonaguni Monument off Japan. These underwater structures, with their unnatural right angles and patterns, challenge explanations centered on natural processes and invite speculation about disappeared civilizations or cataclysms that erase them from history. Political factors constrict archaeological research, especially in Egypt, where officialdom strongly controls access to monuments and restricts exploration. Figures like Zahi Hawass wield enormous influence, often impeding independent researchers and reinforcing narratives that serve particular agendas. The heavy reliance on foreign aid, particularly from the U.S., further complicates the sovereignty and openness of archaeological inquiry, with preservation concerns cited as reasons not to excavate vital sites threatened by erosion or other environmental factors. Throughout the conversation, ancient scriptures and myths are revisited, not merely as religious texts, but as records potentially reflecting historical and scientific truths coded in allegory. The enigmatic similarities in religious imagery and stories across far-flung cultures hint at a universal human experience that modern science has yet to fully embrace or understand. AJ expresses the need to move beyond scientific dogma to integrate these narratives for a more holistic understanding of our past and potential. The episode closes by highlighting the pervasive struggle between truth and institutional power. AJ warns that pride, money, and control often drive deception and suppression of knowledge. He encourages listeners to cultivate critical thinking and maintain intellectual independence in a world where official narratives may frequently mask deeper realities.